Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Public Health in Real Life, a channel dedicated to highlighting key global health topics, celebrating unsung heroes in public health, and inspiring the next generation of public health leaders and professionals. I'm excited to introduce Sunitra, who will be co hosting today's session with me. She is a public health professional with experience in clinical research. Hi, Sunitra. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Chris. Thank you.
Sunitra, from your experience in public health and clinical research, what do you think is a key role of science communication in healthcare?
Sure. So, health communication is an important part of health promotion. With rapid advancements in health IT, science, and involvement of highly multidisciplinary teams, health communication is critical to having an impact on public and population health. Timely communication serves as a bridge not only between the bench and the bed, but also between the clinician and the patient. So, in that, science communication professionals play a big role in researching and disseminating quality scientific findings. These are the professionals who write for the authentic websites you go to when you seek information on a health condition or a drug.
Thank you, Sunitra. As Sunitra rightly said, health communication and more specifically science communication has an important role in healthcare, and there are several modes of communication. We all come across oral and written communication, but today's guest says that performing arts is one such powerful medium for effective science communication. The convergence of science and art is always an interesting topic, and there is a great curiosity to understand the science of art and the art of science. Considering the advantages of visual communication over written communication, the American Association for Advancement in Science introduced an annual contest named Dance Your PhD in 2008. So, our today's speaker, Dr. Gayatri Muthukrishnan, a science communicator who uses science as a tool for science dissemination. She has a great passion for science and dance, and she combines the two to communicate the complex scientific concepts to the general public. Dr. Gayatri, welcome to our show. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sunita.
Gayatri, so health communication is a science and an art. You're both a scientist and an artist. Can you tell us a little bit about what you are learning through combining performing arts and with science?
Yeah, hi, Chris. So I'm happy to be here and discuss this. It's a very interesting and a passionate topic for me. Um, I come from a science background. I've got my PhD in bioengineering, and I worked in cell biology for 8 years. So I come from a very academic background, and the rigor a scientist goes through uh, is quite a bit because do many years of research on a single topic. First, we have to be trained on the different methodologies of science. Um, After that, we have to go into delve into the research topic, understand the whole area, the field. Then comes the part where you start putting things together, identifying a question, and then getting into the whole a slightly different mode of being creative in terms of how do we solve this problem, and also visualizing the whole thing. So a lot of it is visualizing because you are going to propose how you want to solve this problem, and you need to visualize the whole thing a little bit. So this is how a scientist works. And Incidentally or interestingly, art also has a similar thing. So as I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer. Bharatanatyam is an Indian classical dance form, and in this dance form, any dance form for that matter, the first basis is again training. So you need to train into the methods of that art. The next step, as you get very well trained, is probably the steps are slightly different, where you start getting into the more of the creative part of it. If you want to start choreographing, obviously in this case, visualization is apparent from the beginning. Um, but to get into the creative and choreography, again, you need to do research. You need to delve into the subject of what you're going to perform. You need to understand it well to be a good performer of it. So, in some sense, there was a parallel that I saw between these two retrospectively, that a scientist and an artist have very similar uh, pathways, and kind of talk to each other. And me, since I was doing both, I think it really helped go back and forth between the two. One important common thing that I found between the two now comes to the science communication part of it. Um, is the whole storytelling. Scientists also need to tell their story to people or visualize their story for themselves of what is happening. And as an artist and as a Bharatanatyam dancer specifically, for us in Bharatanatyam, storytelling is a huge part of the whole process. And maybe we can come back to it. But so this was a kind of underlying thing that I felt between the scientist and the artist, that I had the whole idea of storytelling. And
So that was interesting, like the parallel between a scientist and an artist. After you
yeah,
say it, it kind of resonates.
yeah.
So we would like to know more about Dance Your Science. So how was it born, and what are your current and upcoming projects?
So Dance Your Science was, as Chris mentioned, Dance Your PhD. Um, that is a popular competition that is being held worldwide, where uh, scientists talk about their PhD work. They themselves either do the performance, or they have a group of team and they work with them and do it. In our case, the way we came up with Dance Your Science was slightly different. It was there were I work with two others. One is Dr. Pranita Kamath. She is again a biological scientist and a dancer too. And the other person is Dr. Sharmila Rao. She is a professional dancer, again a Bharatanatyam dancer, who has done her PhD in Indology. So the three of us come from a sort of a scientific background in that sense, and all of us dance. And one thing that a story that we all resonated was, why can't we explain our science through dance and movement? And but what we wanted to do this for, unlike the ultimate goal for the Dance Your PhD, for us the goal was actual communication, reaching out to people, and it can be from children. The topics, based on the topics, it can be from children to adults. It was one, to bring awareness about topics, also to start conversation about topics, so that people understand the background of it, and then we can have a whole scientific discussion about a certain topic. And so these were the kind of goals and aims that we came with when we started Dance Your Science. And it really worked well. So we have done a few projects. So it started with actually the project of Dr. Pranita Kamath on vascular biology. She's a vascular biologist, and we worked on her research topic. We moved on to working on the molecular understanding of immunology during transplantation. And interestingly, that's when this COVID hit. And obviously, bacteria and virus and this whole health communication field exploded. Uh, and we are like, okay, we need to do something in this, because of the all the misinformation out there. We are like, let us do what we can in this space. So that's why we started working on bacteria and virus. And that we had a certain thing in mind that we want to describe that, what happens when you wash your hands. Everybody's saying you need to wash your hands. What is it? What is vaccination and stuff? And we worked online. We did this whole workshop online with children who were based in India, US, and Europe. And it turned out to be a really good workshop session. It was over 6 weeks where we spoke about different things. And the kids, the enthusiasm, because we involve dance, we start with dance. We are never just sitting and looking at a presentation. Uh, they see a slide, but immediately they get into a movement, because the idea of the slide is to, or the presentation is to get them to think about it and actually move. So it was interesting that how that project worked out. Yeah. And I think you asked about my latest. So one other project was a slightly off topic from health communication, was working with CERN on particle physics, where we also presented in the Science Film Festival. But then we came back to our roots because we are biologists. Going to physics and going to other fields was slightly required other expertise. So now we are working on a menstrual health project, and the other passion of mine being women's health. So the whole menstrual health project we are working on, we are developed this whole concept of what happens biologically, what happens to your hormones, but what does it mean to you physically, mentally, socially, and of course, the idea also came about because it's dance, and girls in general like the art. So it is something that we can open the whole topic and the discussion with. So we are going to work with schools and organizations on this topic next. That's where we are going with it.
I'm sure with so many myths still associated with menstrual hygiene, your new project is going to go places. And anyone who's watching this program should definitely check out Dance Your Science website. The videos that she mentioned about the virus and the bacteria and the vascular biology, they are very interesting. So I definitely recommend people to go watch that. So, Gayatri, any anecdotes, any memorable events that happened during this program, like or during the workshops, or during your presentations, where the theme resonated with the audience, and they came back to you?
Yeah, of course. Um, the menstrual health we have not yet done as a workshop yet, but the virus and bacteria, it was interesting how the children. So the way we work is, since I also come from a cell biology background, the cells are of all different shapes and sizes. And this is something we wanted to communicate. Even with our vascular biology, you would just think of a tube and something going through it. But that the composition is very different. There are many layers. Each layer have different shapes and sizes of cells. And similarly, when you're talking about a bacteria or virus, you're talking about different scales. So it was very interesting when these kids, they immediately caught on to this idea. And also, we told them, imagine a virus, and the virus are of all different shapes. And we just gave them examples, just put a picture out there. We didn't. Now we said, what kind of shape would you like to be? And how do you think you will move when you're in this shape? What will happen? And then they do that kind of movement, and they were very excited. And we kind of stayed with that story throughout. So then the next time they came, they were like, yeah, I was that kind of a virus. And it kind of makes them really absorb that information, because now they are it. And they know they'll get washed out, or if they vaccines are they, so they it kind of, when they are part of that whole system, it is very fun, really. I think working with those kids were a really exciting part for us, because we learned, and the questions they ask are amazing. Because you think it's I mean, you think they're kids, they probably will ask very basic questions, and then they ask but is it only this way? Can't it be this way? And then as a scientist or a communicator, you have to bring in all the information that you've had, and like, I never thought about that. uh, but I mean, you have to really come up with a good answer, or you tell them that we need to do the research, and then they are accepting of it. So they're accepting of anything that you say to them also, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure, and this platform has like created the environment for being curious. And how I
Yeah.
wished I was part of these workshops as a child. You got
Mhm.
to visualize things and do things better.
I just want to mention one thing before I forget about dance science, and even any which we might bring about the communication also. There is this thin line between being right about science and having artistic freedom. So when I was talking about the children doing these different dances and all that, I just wanted to bring that point up. And we need to keep, while we give them the freedom to do creative things, and we also take that freedom to do it artistically. As scientists, we are very particular that the science is not represented wrong. And so we also correct them. And we also, when we are choreographing or presenting something, if we are in doubt, we always err towards the side of the science, that we need to show the science correct. It doesn't matter if it is not as artistic as we would like it to be. So that's one thing I just want to mention. As a communicator, this is something that we always have to, as in the art side, we need to keep a watch on it.
That's a very insightful thought. Thank you, Gayatri.
Yeah.
What are
And
some ways we can address the spread of fake news or information regarding science?
oh, yeah, no, that's a very good question. Um, and this is where I come. I kind of go from this when I'm in the arts and science, that there's a thin uh, line that we need to we walk on, the thin rope that we walk on, in terms of art and science. Uh, but in terms of just science communication, it is kind of, I feel it should be straightforward. Unfortunately, it is not. Because science, there is only kind of one, if you go through science, uh, any science news, as a person, I would say it's a good to be skeptical in a healthy way, in the sense that you take in the piece of information and now think about it. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? So what can you do if you are not sure? One thing is, you need to look at if it is a peer reviewed paper. What does that mean? That first of all, there are references, that they have taken scientific information and given this. So media in general likes to kind of sensationalize all the information. So once you get that piece of information, what do you do with it? You be skeptical. You see if there is some references to actual scientific publication. Now, all scientific publication need not be peer reviewed. What does that mean? That peer review is that any time I want to publish an article, it actually goes out to two or three, minimum two of my peers, who actually review this article and correct it. And they point out anything that is not right. And then I have to fix it before I actually publish it. Now, one must remember that not all articles are peer reviewed. The other thing in articles are, if it is like clinical trials or anything, you need to know, like, see the size. If it's done with just 40 or 50 people and you're talking about some very big news, then you need to be skeptical about only 50 people they've tested it on. Do they have a control? Um, have they, like, is it done rigorously, the trial? Sometimes it's just done on cells. There are research, and I was a cell biologist. All my research we just did on cells, and then everything does not immediately extrapolate to actual what is important for humans. So you need to be like, okay, this has been done in cells. It's good news. We know that it doesn't mean that I'm immediately going to get it, that it is going to take time. Um, Having said all this, I know this is too much maybe for a layman to, like, what is peer review? Where will I go and get all this know that it's peer reviewed or not. What are these journals? I don't even know what these journals are. So I would say if you cannot verify yourself, try to find somebody who will verify it for you. There are, I think, online sites also that say that this is fake news versus this is real news. There are a bunch of sites that are trying to debug and all the information. But yeah, so go to someone you trust. Try to make sure that they and ask them. And this is especially before you forward any messages. So if you hear a news, if you see a news, be skeptical, get it verified before you do anything with that piece of news information. Um, the other thing I want to point out is to scientists. Scientists also need to be more open about talking about their science. I think as scientists, there are many reasons you might not be open to talk about science, but I think you need to be, and you need to voice your opinion about things and not just be behind the scenes criticizing that that piece of science news was fake. Uh, you need to be vocal about it. I think there are a lot of people now, there are now more people doing it, but it is important. I just want to put it out there. Yeah.
That's very insightful. Thank you, Gayatri.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's both sides of the coin. Like whoever gives out information has to have the responsibility, and as
Yeah.
consumers, we also have the responsibility to pick out
Yeah.
news versus views, and all that. So definitely,
True.
um,
Like you said, the media, the scientists and the media need to be responsible. The media needs to be really responsible about it too. And it's something that it is a long topic of its own, I
true, very
think, to
true.
discuss.
So you're passionate about women's health too. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about um, Miyara Health and why you started it and around that?
Yeah, for sure. Um, Again, it is this whole idea of science communication. It started with this health, especially health communication, um, because health information we realized was not reaching people enough. As simple as, um, say, taking a medication to its full course. Now, like antibiotics, these are kind of, there is one issue of it being overprescribed. But regardless, once it's prescribed, you need to take the whole course of that medication. So it started with that simple idea: how do we communicate this? But uh, as women, so I work on this project, Miyara, with my co-founder Sanjana Rao, who also is a scientist herself. And we were discussing this, but as we were also doing some science, health communication, in fact, we were delving deep into health, different health topics. Um, we realized as women, we were going through health changes and we didn't have the answers to our health issues. Uh, and we actually had to look at science articles, science papers, read up on it. And this is what kind of drove us into creating this health platform. So right now, it has taken the shape of a health platform uh, for women in midlife, where we give them awareness and health solutions to all the health changes that their body are going through um, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, post menopause. And the idea being that you need to be aware of yourself, what your body is going to go through, and what changes can you make uh, starting early so that you can age healthy. Just basically healthy aging is the idea. And yeah, sorry, go.
Yeah, go ahead if you were about to
No,
say.
no.
Okay, so definitely the information available online is so overwhelming. It's very difficult to pick the information that we need, especially in topics like you mentioned in the midlife where there's not much you can find. Um, And the work that you do with Mayara ties so well with the topic of health equity in communication, because a lot of health marketing for women is so targeted towards fertility that there are so many other health topics that are related to women that go under the carpet. So but you do break the status quo, challenge that, and make that kind of holistic information available to women through Miara. um, Talking about that, what would be some effective communication strategies when reaching to different groups of women, like midlife versus young age, working women versus others? So,
Yeah.
reaching out to different groups.
Yeah, so that's a very good question because when we got into this, um it was generally women's health. And like you said, it was all what we saw out there was all about fertility. And we wanted to talk about women in midlife, but this also is applicable to women in general, um, about how their health changes, um, and what they need to be aware of. So we were looking at women initially 35 plus. Um, Actually, we were looking, there is this whole age group of perimenopause, menopause, which is probably more 40 plus. But the changes need to be started early, 30, 35 plus. And then we have, because we are in the women's health space, there are women who are in their 20s who also reach out to us. Now, how do we talk to women of these different age groups? And that was, it's interesting because we actually speak to a lot of these women nowadays. I mean, we have been speaking to these women, and we realize the priorities are slightly different for these women, and how we have to reach them and talk to them are different. So, like you said, women, older women have more responsibilities in terms of the social responsibilities. They might already have kids, they might have older parents that they need to take care of, they might have a career that is like kind of boomed, or they might be at home also. These women sometimes are busier. They have this notion, and these are the women who probably are going through these hormonal changes towards perimenopause and menopause. So they have these issues, but they don't have the time for self care. They always prioritize themselves the last. Then they realize that they're having these health issues. They need to give themselves priority, but finding time for them is very difficult. And so the way we need to communicate with them is more of giving them tidbits of information. Some of them actually want to know what is the cause. So then we need to give them science information. And that's what we are passionate about, giving the whole health background and the biology and things. But sometimes some of these women just want to know that I have this issue, what is the solution? Again, we need to give them, that is also health communication, because the solutions have to be appropriately researched. It's not about any solution that you can give them. You can't just take any thing out there or do any work out there. So it needs to be appropriately given. Like for women in midlife, strength training becomes more important because they're going to start having muscle loss, or the estrogen level goes down. So muscle loss, osteoporosis, they need to worry about. So they need to do more strength training. So we need to give them appropriate solutions, but they may not want the information. So based on how these women want, so we have this snippets of tidbits of information. In some cases, it's science, some cases, it's solutions. And there are women who take in both. With the younger generation, the thing is, they also very often are busy in work, as we have noticed from our communication. And so they also need to have this time to take out to change, but they do have the, they do think a little more about their health. They do kind of prioritize their health a little more because they have that little more time to think about it. Um, and so that way, the communication is slightly different. They are open to all the social media also. They have time to look at social media a little more, at least. Um, so that reaches out to them. And but to be honest, I think in our social media we have this. We communicate through Instagram channels, through our YouTube interviews, through our blogs on our website. And I think this is taken in. There are women from the 20s till 50 plus who have it has resonated with. They're like, oh, we were looking for this information, and it is nice that you have it on your site. Um, just from menstrual health to bone health and everything. So it is. We have been getting interesting feedback. The while the so my point is while there are different groups of women, I think the communication strategies, we just need to make sure that we have all the different things in place and we reach them through the different methods. And that's what we're doing.
Oh, thank you so much, Gayatri. So this is really nice. Yeah. So my next question is, so with Miyara, what are your current and upcoming projects?
So we have been with this health, starting with health communication, and I said we wanted to start providing solutions and it's just not tell them that you have to do this or that. I mean, this is how health is. But so we started with providing products. So just like we have a menstrual product and a few other products on our website, including diagnostic tests of breast cancer screening and gut microbiome screening so that you know what your gut health looks like. You can get yourself tested for breast cancer in this is in India. Uh, but apart from this, what we realize is women actually want to talk to experts. They want to talk. They want to be heard. Um, so we started actually talking to these women, asking, what is your health issue and what do you want? And we realized a lot of them just want to make lifestyle changes, and um, they want their health issues solved by just with what we give them. So we realized a nutrition and a fitness trainer is really important, and a mental health. So these are the three spaces we are working in, and we are creating health packages for women. It's customized to the specific women or the need of that woman, where depending on what level of or what background they come with, what health issues they have, we tailor make a package which includes all three components. Um, this has really been picked up by a lot of women. We have women from the age of 25 to 50 plus now who are looking and seeking this kind of intervention. And with this, then it really helps them then if these kind of health packages. So this is what we're currently working on and developing these health packages. And at the background, we are learning about all these different women who are there and all the different health issues. So we are going forth. We want to develop these packages more related to specific topics that they might be coming with, so that it is tailor made and there is something there that they can immediately pick on, that we don't need to start from basics to customize it for them, but there's something that is already there that they can already pick on, and they can start utilizing it for themselves. So this is the main thing right now. We are working on these customized health packages and trying to see how to make it easily available to women, and also to scale up so that we can reach a lot of women with these packages. So that's where we are currently with Miyara.
Awesome. So stress is a follow-up question on that. Stress is one of the under-communicated topics among women. So, do you have any programs or any stress reduction programs at Miyara?
So we don't call it a stress reduction program. We did do a session, a Pilates session for stress. We did have a mindfulness workshop a few months back, which also helps against stress. But this is a program that we do want to create stress. Interestingly, the other aspect of what we are doing is going to corporate women, because again, women in the corporate setting have a whole bunch of issues to deal with. And especially if you're going through midlife, you're already in senior management level. You don't want to lose your position, but then your health is changing. You're going through, and stress is one of the big things. So combined with the estrogen levels going down, stress uh, kind of multiplies. So, and having to be at a workplace. So we want to go to corporate women, and this is a good place where we can work on stress. So our customized health packages does work on this. We have women who are say that they're very busy, they work the whole day, and we kind of coach them how to make time for their health. So that is also a way of stress reduction. And within the fitness space, within nutrition, within mental health, there are different ways of helping them reduce stress. So we incorporate it as we customize a package for them. We incorporate these stress reduction methods.
That is awesome.
That's
Thank you so
interesting.
much, Gayatri. Gayatri, we are really excited to have you on our show today. And
Thank
we
you.
truly enjoyed the conversation. I know you'll be
Thank you.
inundated with a plethora of programs, and thanks so much for taking your time.
Thank
So,
you.
Sunitra, can you please introduce the speakers for the next week?
Sure. Um, so for the speakers for our next session on 1st of October are Dr. Shalini Prasad and Sriram Muthukumar. Dr. Shalini Prasad is a professor of biomedical engineering at the University of Texas, Dallas. And Sriram Muthukumar is an adjunct associate professor, Department of Material Science and Engineering at the University of Texas, Dallas, and a co-founder of Enlicense LLC, focused on wearables for biosensing. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining the program today.
Um, I just want to say thanks a lot for having me on this program. And you are doing a really awesome job in bringing uh, forth this information about public health. And thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. Thank you, Sunitra. And Ashwin is also supporting us. Ashwin is here. So, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so much, Ashwin. So, thank
yeah.
you all. Please stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks.
Thank you.